Welcome to the GMS Magazine podcast. That's the worst theme tune I can possibly think about. I'm just I'm improvising. But this one, though, is a little bit better. And although it's not mine, it came with the equipment that I bought recently. But hey, it's very cool. So, welcome. This is a show all about board games, role-playing games, and the people who make them. Sometimes also the people who play them. I am Paco Garcia, your co-host.
This is Chris from DSX Machina. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I think you deserved it.
Yeah.
So, today we have several things. Okay, music, you can shut down now. Thank you. By the way, I have discovered that this machine I bought can do another thing. Would you like to know what it can do? I can hear you. Would you like to? Would you like to know what this machine can do?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I thought it was a rhetorical question.
No, it's not. It's not a rhetorical question. It can do. Sorry, this is not.
I think this is what it can do also. So I think, what about if I do the podcast like this all the time? Do you think that people would take us more seriously?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think so.
But if I spoke like this, maybe, just maybe, somebody might.
Or if I decided I want to be a robot, I don't know why I'm doing all these things.
Anyway, stupid machine does stupid shit.
Oh God, that last one reminds me. There's a very, very, very famous, and incredibly disturbing public service announcement for kids that was made for Canada. It showed this robot, this female robot, dodging through all this machinery, and this machinery had like saw blades and all this stuff. It's like she's doing acrobatics, and at one point she gets too close and a saw blade takes her arm off, and then she attaches the arm, and then she says like, I can't remember what the name was. I am asking you, a robot. I can put my arm back on, but you can't, so play safe. And it was a public service announcement to kids to play safe when they're going outside. And it was very famous. It got played all the time.
What the fuck?
But it had that really mechanical electronic voice. If you ever see, it was almost nightmare fuel for kids, but it was played all the time.
I mean, if they wanted to traumatize children into safety, then yeah, I can imagine that would work. But if they wanted to be some sort
of... I am Astar, a robot. Yeah, it's from the 1980s.
Blimey. The 80s were fucked up, man. So bad. So bad. But anyway, okay, let's get on with things from the show, because I don't have an awful lot, but you do have an awful lot. So why don't you take over and we can get cracking on.
See, now I have to watch. I'm going to send you, by the way, the Astar robot PSA. You can see what
So you want to traumatize me too, then?
Yes, the War Amputation Society of Canada, which is an actual. I swear to God, this is an actual organization. But yeah, I will send that to you. But anyway, so there's been a lot. We'll get to the Goodman thing last, but we hear that it's the CMON situation has gotten a lot worse than people believed. And a lot of people, I suspect, that their halting of all game development on account of the trade tariffs might not have been 100% genuine, in my opinion. CMON's David Presti steps down as non-executive director 7 months after resigning as chief operations officer. Then after that, there was an announcement saying that they were $3 million in debt.
Which is at least 1.5 Kickstarter for them.
Well, yes, it is actually more than what they've made than they've made last year in revenue.
Wow.
And and this is connected to them. Final Frontier Games has shut down with 3 unfulfilled crowdfunding projects worth almost 1.4 million. And they say Simon's failed to pay for localization, and that was the final nail for them. So they're pointing the finger to Simon for partially being partially responsible for the failure of their company. Simon had initially agreed to pay 50% before production and the remainder after that process complete, but it claims Simon later requested a change of terms to 100% payment when the completed games were ready to be picked up. And that was yes. Now they're saying the good faith losses of more than 2 million is now up to 3 million. So yes, it's. I think Simon is not going to be around much longer.
At this rate, definitely not. I can't imagine how. I mean, it would require some sort of trust fund or something like that, some wealthy investor deciding that, oh, okay, I have $10 million here. Let's. I don't care if I don't get them back. Let's give it to these people and see what happens. But otherwise, yeah, it looks like somebody's chiseling their tombstone already.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've already seen several companies already announce that they are closing up operations. There has been, what I wanted to say here, a game company out of Omaha, done by Alex Wolf and Spielcraft Games. They've also sued the Trump administration for their tariffs. I wouldn't be surprised if this folded into a class action lawsuit. But so that's on top of everything else that's happening. And so that was kind of cool. And so now we are seeing multiple companies that are suing Trump. Stonemeyer, obviously, we know about them. It is just another nail in the coffin for everything that's going on right now. Some game companies have decided to ship all their stock to Canada instead of the US. And in the case of one company whose name I can't remember at the moment, they are sitting on it. They are not doing anything with it. They obviously have the pull and the power to just stock up stock and wait for this to pass. Kind of a trigger, like the moment the tariffs go away, they'll immediately ship them. Now, that being said, Trump tariffs at 8 hours ago from the recording of this, because we're recording it on Monday, May the 12th around noon PST. Trump tariffs on China dropped to 30% from the, I don't know where, 145% was its peak. It's now down to 30%. It is a 90-day reprieve, which also happened in Canada. When they announced 100% tariffs on Canada, then there was a whole crap show, and then they put a 30-day pause, and then they got put back on. The damage has already been dealt, unfortunately. Yeah. I think that for me, there's been an unfortunate realization. Like if somebody was like, oh, just switch over to American printer. I reached out to an American printer and I gave them my specifications. They didn't even send me an email back. Because I've had customers that say that they won't support me if I cut America out of their distribution. I go, no. I'm never going to cut America out of distribution. I'm saying that if I shift from a China to a European distribution model instead of a China to American distribution model, you can still back the game. Your shipping is just going to be more expensive than everybody else's. Shipping is going to be cheap for Europe and more expensive for them.
Welcome to Europe, my friends. By the way, this is what's been going on with Kickstarter projects for a fucking decade. We have to pay a shit ton of money for shipping that companies have been eating for a very, very long time. So yeah, welcome to our lives. That's what happens.
Yeah. So and I like the idea that you had mentioned earlier about going with a European printer. So that may be an interesting thing. I'm like right now, the only print runs I'm working on is print on demand stuff for my art book that I'm developing. Ironically, around the same about 2 days ago, a new board game got announced that simulates how a U.S.-China war would be fought. Well, so that's a thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was quick to develop. I mean, considering that this has been going on for a couple of months. And don't get me wrong, it's been very intense and it's been kind of, the talk of the town kind of thing. But for somebody to be able to develop, prototype, test, and produce everything that they need to do a crowdfunding campaign, somebody didn't get an awful lot of sleep, I think, to be able to do all those things.
Yeah. And online board game seller Boardlandia has shut down, and they're pointing at the tariffs, adding an unsustainable burden to companies' existing challenges. So that's another thing. And I'll get through the bad stuff. Maybe we'll get to some good news. Toxic leadership, rampant gatekeeping. Gamma marketing and comms head blast organization and resignation announcements.
Okay, what's that?
So Amy Lowe, who was hired in the role of Gamma last year, said in a now deleted post on LinkedIn that the nonprofit was deeply siloed and in many ways broken while announcing her resignation on April 1st. Toxic leadership, rampant gatekeeping, insecurity masquerading as control, disrespect towards other staff members. I witnessed staff roll their eyes at members who literally fund the organization. I saw internal dynamics that were petty, power hungry, and counterproductive. Then came a restructuring that had me reporting to someone who openly disrespected colleagues and talked shit about members. I've worked in high-stakes environments. I've managed massive companies. I've dealt with complex teams, but I refuse to stay in a place that values ego over impact. So I resigned 2 days into the restructure.
Wow. Jesus Christ, what's going on? Is everything going to pieces?
Yeah, well, Steve Jackson Games CEO Meredith Placo has resigned after 2 years. That was also, she didn't say, nothing screaming. The decision was not made lightly and came months after deep reflection. She said, "I'm proud of the work I've done and so grateful for the talented people I've had a chance to work with. It's been a meaningful, challenging, and creatively fulfilling chapter in my career." So there is that, and of course, chaos continues to escalate in the Alliance game distribution sale as winning bidder scraps deal, sues owner Diamond Comics, claiming it hid that Alliance game distributors had lost its biggest customer, Wizard of the Coast. So that, like I said, there's a lot of chaos.
Wow.
Yeah, the lawsuit claims Diamond repeatedly and intentionally asserted that Alliance's relationship with WotC remains strong and good standing, when in fact WotC had told Diamond last December that it would not renew its distribution agreement beyond the end of 2024, aside from a 90-day extension to aid with the bankruptcy proceedings. So there's...
Holy shit. So who are they going to distribute with now? Are they going to do it themselves? I don't think so.
I mean, they've got a lot of power. Wouldn't be surprised. In better news, I'll say that the Golden Box Awards, voted on by members of Japan's board game industry, crowned a game called Umataka as Game of the Year. You being a person who's been a big fan of Asian game designers might be aware of that one. I have not heard it. And it's a worker placement game. Sorry.
No, I have to say, over the last couple of weeks, a few things have been going on in my life. And I've barely been in social media. I haven't really tweeted much. I haven't really done an awful lot. So I am, and it will probably be for another week or so, a little bit off track. So if I am a bit silent, humans, I'm going to be fine, but I just don't have this mental strength to be able to do everything that I was doing in the past. But I will be back, don't you worry.
Yeah, so Umataka is a worker placement game centered around hunter-gatherers making traditional pottery in ancient Japan.
Okay,
it was named Game of the Year in the latest Golden Box Game Awards. Orcs wins big at the Golden Geek Awards, and SETI brings home a pair of prizes. I have heard SETI is a great game. It is kind of really high on my list of games I actually do want to buy.
it's a game that I've heard very, very good things, but I have also heard that it is a very complex game, and therefore is crossed off my list because I just don't have the time. I literally don't have the time to play very complex games because they tend to take 3 hours or so to play at least. And when I play with my friends, we don't have 3 hours to play. We just don't have enough time in our hands. So that kind of games is out.
Yeah, and in my final bit of news before we get on to the Goodman Games thing, we're seeing now a slight rise in going back to digital releasing board games. Flamecraft is now being announced for PC. I'm not sure why I got sent it, but I got sent a full press kit.
Okay.
I'm talking about it now, but when I got the kit, I was not allowed to talk about it until 4 days ago.
Love the
That's when
embargoes.
Yes. Did you get the press kit?
I don't know. I really haven't checked my emails for nearly a week, so I have no idea.
Yes. So Monster Couch, studio behind the digital adaptations of Wingspan and Calico. They're doing a video game version of Flamecraft. They haven't announced when it's going to come out. It's going to come out for Steam. But I was really interesting that I got this wonderful little press kit with all these images, these video clips, all these icons and stuff that I could use. And with the announcement that I was not allowed to make a post about it until May 8th. So I'm looking at Gamatsu's link, and of course they're showing all the images that I got. So I was just like, so I'm trying to figure out like how am I on someone's mailing list? And I realized it might have been because my wife backed that game, then maybe they sent it out to their Kickstarter backers. But I just thought it was interesting that they came out with a press kit with the moratorium of May 8th, which I thought was very unusual.
Well, I do receive a fair amount of press releases which are embargoed until whenever they are ready to be announced. Osprey and Free League do that very often. Those are the two companies that I work closest with. So that it is not surprising at all to me.
And so obviously we're finally going to talk about what happened with Goodman Games. What do you know about it?
Well, I know that Goodman Games is taking over the city of the Invincible Overlord, which is a Judges Guild much, much, much beloved publications from, decades ago. It's one of the original Judges Guild's creations that also General Jaquays worked on. The problem with it is that currently the IP rests with Bledsoe Jr., so the son of the original co-writer. And he happens to be a racist, anti-Semitic, disgustingly misogynistic, homophobic piece of shit. I've had my encounters with him in Facebook. I have denounced his posts in my wall more than once, a long, long time ago. And the controversy runs because there was a Kickstarter to relaunch this a very long time ago, and Bledsoe blew it. He basically wasn't able to deliver everything and left the backers with next to nothing. Of course, he also got an awful lot of backlash and criticism for being the horrible human being he is. And now Goodman Games has taken over the finalization of the project. Now that comes with a big problem, and it is that any money that they manage to raise could end up at some level, some of it, in the hands of Bledsoe Jr. They have released a couple of statements. People are, lukewarm about them. Some people think it's a non-apology. Some people think that, okay, that's as much as it can be done. But the gist of it is that Goodman Games claim that the money that they raise will not go to Bledsoe Jr., but will go to refund the backers of the original project, which on paper sounds okay. And that is as much as I know, and I don't know any more criticism that they have received.
Yeah. So obviously, trying to skirt. I mean, first of all, I want to see a disclaimer so much by saying the fact that this IP, the original stories and adventures, are Judges Guild is famous for being, at least the original publications, for being the first third-party stuff for D&D. That's how far back this IP goes. And it should be noted that Bledsoe Sr., the person who created this content, was a very respected person in the industry. He's no longer alive. And so when this came out, there was a lot of blowback, obviously. And Goodman on Friday posted a update to this. Goodman Games opened by saying, I was personally very affected by the comments because many of the people I know and love are in the groups that were heavily affected. So I don't agree with the bigotry. I don't agree with the transphobia. I don't agree with the homophobia. I don't agree with the racism. I don't agree with any of it. I don't want to be associated with it. And I don't want any money from Goodman Games to ever fund or be perceived as funding it. The short version of the statement, the funds which would have gone to Judges Guild, which appear to be 10% of the Kickstarter, will be placed in an escrow account managed by Goodman Games. Those funds will be used to reimburse the backers of the earlier unfulfilled Judges Guild Kickstarter, as you mentioned. The print run will be limited to ensure that once those backers have been reimbursed, no further revenue will be generated. This ensures that Judges Guild will not make a profit on this project. If in some way the Kickstarter does exceed this threshold, Goodman Games is legally obligated to pay the excess royalties to Judges Guild. However, Goodman Games will match that excess with a charity donation. So this is obviously a situation where Goodman Games is kind of legally compelled to do these actions. I'm sure if pinned against the wall, he would not want to do anything that wasn't his property entirely. I've worked with Goodman Games. I've never had anything but the good things to say. He was very gracious. He came forward to publish Amethyst Foundations. When I announced that I was releasing Amethyst 4th edition, he came forward to publish me. And up until recently, that was the widest distribution I ever had until Ultramodern came out. Obviously, the 4th edition books didn't do well. And that relationship with Amethyst fizzled. I retained the IP. Not long after that, I did some work for him. I wrote some rituals for his Asgard's Book of Rituals. I did an adventure, a small, tiny adventure for him, and then, but then future and later adventures did not pan out. I published an adventure a couple of years ago called Fistful of Dragons. That was intended to be a Goodman Games adventure. He did not. There was a miscommunication, a creative differences. And we'll use that very famous thing. Right? We separated through creative differences. We both had different ideas of what we were wanting. I was playing off of the classic Yojimbo Fistful of Dollars story archetype. He wanted something that was more associated with Lankmar. As someone who has not read Lankmar, other than the adventures that I own, it was difficult to really encapsulate what he was looking for. So I published the adventure myself, and we've not had a relationship since then. There's been talk about adapting Amethyst to Dungeon Crawl Classics, and we both agreed that would be an awful idea. Somebody was asking me, why don't you adapt the Dungeon Crawl Classics? I approached Goodman, and Goodman is like, I read your system. We are not compatible. Like Dungeon Crawl Classics is intended to tap the classic format of the early 80s RPG. Amethyst is incredibly complex socially and politically. It would not fit the bill. I'm like, you're 100% right. And that was it. That was the last time him and I had a conversation. That was probably 5 or 6 years ago.
I think I feel sorry for Goodman Games because I know people speak very highly of them. And I know that Joseph Goodman is a good guy. He's a good egg. And I bet that other than the money, he is doing this because he really wants to see the city-state of the Invincible Overlord turn into something beautiful. I saw what they did in the past with the Temple of Elemental Evil. They have a 2 tones reimagining of the adventure, which I bought just because it looks absolutely incredible. I had no intention of playing it or even read most of it, but it looks so good. So I bet that this is the reason why they've gone for it. Having said that, what they want to do with refunding the people who were scammed by Bledsoe is a good thing. However, I wonder to what degree and why there is any kind of legal obligation to give Bledsoe any money out of any excess. Because at least where I am, that would be something that is agreed, not necessarily something that is legally binding. So what law is the law that says you can agree to pay the backers and have this money as an escrow, but if you go over this amount of money, then you are not allowed to do that, and you have to give it to this person? Why? Why is that happening? I cannot hear you.
When looking at his announcement,
yeah,
I could read that there is a lot of legal mumbo jumbo associated with that Goodman Games is trying to balance and negotiate. Stuff that either it doesn't want to share or can't share.
And the thing is, really, isn't there any other projects that you could have taken over that would not bring money to this individual? Really? I mean, did it have to be this one in particular? Because there are other works out there, I'm absolutely convinced, that would make a lot more sense to revive and avoid the backlash. So if you had any clue, and quite frankly, for a project like this, you better have some clue as to what people are going to make of it when you decide to release it. It doesn't matter how much you love it. And don't get me wrong, I love the idea that, Janelle is going to get some credit for the work that she did on this. But if you have any idea that this is going to happen, why not look for something else? Why not go for something different? Because there must be something.
Yeah. You're like I said, you're 100% correct. Like I said, once again, I feel that there's a lot more to the story than we really know. And it's difficult to really, like I said, I don't know. And that's exactly, at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't know what the situation.
I only know that this is the kind of thing that doesn't bring any company new people. People interested in the city-state of the Invincible Overlord are going to be the same people who were interested in it 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. I can't imagine for a second that there is going to be a huge amount of new players who've come up on 5e, on Dungeons and Dragons over the last 10 years, who would be like, oh my God, this is so cool. At least I don't think that is going to be the case. So you're likely to be alienating an awful lot more people, the new customers, loyal customers that you're going to make for the foreseeable future. If you told me that you're going to do this, but you're going to make, not big numbers, 3,000 people who are going to buy anything and everything that you do from now on, I would say, okay, fair enough. But you're going to make a crowdfunding campaign. You're going to get out of this, I don't know, let's say $500,000. how many of the people who are giving you $500,000 are going to buy anything that is not a project like this in the future? Is it really worth it going for this? Really?
Yeah. The other thing I also think of is the fact that ultimately, one thing I've discovered with Dungeon Crawl Classics and this product in question is that these are like, I don't see anybody like the city state, so forth. I've never seen anybody like under 40 years old interested in this content. I don't know anybody under the age of 30 that plays Dungeon Crawl Classics. They are pushing hard for a classic retapping. So all the people that are older than 40, the people who may have played classic second edition AD&D or even older, it's tapping that. And so they're tapping these people who remembered this classic stuff. These people are generally, I hate to say it, but almost a lot of the older gamers I know, it's part of that OSR community, and the OSR community is very, very conservative. So I'm wondering whether or not, like, do they even care about the controversy?
Okay, the point is the majority of people don't care. Full stop.
Yeah.
But not just on this. Okay, I'm not going to throw dirt on the OSR community. I could for many reasons, but this is not the point. And I don't want to throw dirt on the OSR community because I also know a lot of people in the OSR community who are very good people and don't deserve to be tarnished by, the same brush. But you're right. There are too many people who are conservative enough who are not going to give a shit. But I reckon that is not just because of they are OSR. I think it's because people overwhelmingly don't give a shit. That's it. People don't give a shit about AI. People don't give a shit about whether orcs are, sentient or not. Or people don't give a shit about whether this asshole is going to get some money out of it. They just want their shiny product. That's consumerism for you. And I am not going to throw dirt on people who behave like that. I try not to, but I have behaved like that in the past. That's the truth. I think we've all done it. So I think it is to be expected that you cannot possibly expect full 100% ethics awareness out of the general public.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, it's a very at the end of the day, like I said, it's one of those situations where I've spent my last few years kind of forgetting that Judges Guild exists, and I will continue to kind of ignore their existence. But the other important thing is that throughout all of this, Goodman Games was not deplatformed from EndWorld, unlike some people we know.
Well, and I think that's because Goodman people are good people. Goodman Games are good people. I don't think that there is any particular greed or malice. I think they're making the best out of a really bad situation, and it has blown in their faces. And I really feel very sorry for them because I know their heart is in the right place. But unfortunately, I don't think there is a chest where a heart like that can beat and be okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So we'll see how this ends. I think the project will be a success. I think there will be more statements as to how they are going to mitigate the impact of giving Bledsoe any money. I think they will learn from their mistakes. I think they will shy away, because I've heard some people in Facebook mentioning the message of keeping politics out of games, which is a massive red flag for me, because it's impossible to get politics out of games, and you shouldn't even try. Quite the opposite. So we'll see how this pans out. I wish them the best. I will not be back in this because I'm not that interested.
No, exactly. It's just not interested. No. Speaking of Kickstarter, as I continue to track the progress of my triggered Kickstarter that continues to annoy me. Here was Assemble, the 5e superhero book. They are 68 hours, so by the time this video goes up, it'll probably be over by now. They are closing in on the $78,000 Canadian, which is about say
50.
65,000 euros. And I think also notice the fact that it is a European publication, which means chances are they are probably not distributing. They probably don't have an American distributor, which is the reason why they are pushing hard at this point in time. I thought it's a little on the pricey side. The digital product is €30, which I think is really high for a digital product.
Okay,
the hardcover.
What comes with it though?
You get the PDF and some digital power cards. That's it.
Okay, that's. I mean, I wouldn't say it's extremely expensive, but I would say it better be a good product if it's going to cost that much.
Yeah, the physical book is €45, and the quote unquote exclusive edition, which is the exclusive hardcover, is €60.
How many pages? How big is the book?
It actually doesn't say.
Because that's important. Because if you're telling me to pay €60 for a hardback, kind of letter size, 250 pages, and it's all full color and it looks very good, I would say, fine, okay. If it's an exclusive thing that I'm never going to see again, it's worth the money. €50 for a game, I think that's fair price. Quite frankly, I think I am really tired of seeing companies pricing down their games because otherwise people think that RPGs shouldn't cost what they should cost. And I am bored with that rhetoric.
I think physical books need to be priced accordingly. I just think digital, I think a lot of, and this is maybe a conversation, I think too many mainstream publishers are charging way too much for their digital products. For example, my book sells for about $50 US or so. And the digital version of it costs $19, $19 US. I make the same profit off of both. The number of times I've seen publishers are like, our physical book is $50 and our digital product is $30 or $35. I'm like, I know perfectly well they are making way more money off of their PDF. So I'm thinking and so I'm a person that's like, I should be making the same amount of profit from both. I don't want to be gouging my PDF customers, but that's just me. The other,
sorry, I can't agree with that.
I know, but for me, it comes down to the issue I've always had with this Kickstarter is the continued advertising that claims that it's a novel project.
Fuck. Oh.
It's every single ad I have seen claims that they are finally bringing superheroes to 5th edition. And I know it's probably some of the advertising team, but it's just really rubbing me the wrong way. For those people who don't know, Vigilante City, which is a street-level superhero tabletop RPG for 5th edition, it was launched earlier this year. So and on top of that, the superhero role-playing for 5th edition S5E by Sigil Entertainment Group, which I might add raised less money. They raised $60,000. That was 3 years ago. And then my product, which is Apex, which is a 5e superhero game, is 8 years old. And that's just 3 official big examples. I am sure that there are dozens of smaller projects that we are not aware of, and probably 100 more unofficial homebrews. I really don't like it when, I know I've introduced a lot of novel mechanics, but I don't try to make the claim that it's a novel mechanic because I don't have the evidence and I'm most likely wrong. The other thing that rubs me the wrong way about this one is their open and blatant use of artificial intelligence derived imagery that is apparently going over fine. No one, other than the fact that people on the advertising Facebook posts have criticized them, it is clearly not bothering enough people because it's at 78,000. Now, that being said, if they're doing a physical production, and this is where things get really dicey. If they're doing a physical production, if I was doing a physical production of a game of this stature, $78,000 Canadian is barely enough for me to break even, because I know how much it's going to cost for physical production, shipping, and distribution. But I pay for my artwork, which means there's $10,000 to $15,000 of the money I raise that's going to be paying for art. Like Affinity's art budget, I'll tell you right now, was about $10,000. Amethyst, a book of Amethyst usually costs $10,000 to $15,000 for its art budget. The only reason why we were experimenting with the artificial intelligence was finding ways to speed up Nick's process, not to pay him less.
Right.
So if this company is openly talking about the fact that they use AI and then just use Photoshop to refine the image, they could potentially and unabashedly be saving $10,000 to $15,000 on their Kickstarter budget in order to save themselves money. And that's something that companies can do, obviously brazenly, because it seems like a lot of people aren't going to really care. This is not hitting the news anywhere. Like, it's not on Enroll talking about the fact that there is a 5e superhero role-playing game that's claiming to be novel, that's using artificial intelligence, and is most likely, in my opinion, the only reason why they're going to be able to make money off of this product
because of the AI
is going to be employing AI to save money. Because at $78,000 Canadian, they're looking at 919 backers, which means they're probably making 2,000 or 3,000 units, physical units, because they obviously want to sell access so they can sell it into distribution. That's looking like a book that's going to cost them probably $20,000 to $25,000 US, which means it's and shipping is going to cost them $4,000 or $5,000. They're going to be shipping it obviously to a European backer. I don't know if the shipping prices are different from going from China to Europe through. So have that shipping is different. I don't know if distribution or shipping are going to be significantly more expensive. They of course are going to be taking that shipping price on top of it. That's not factored into it. So they're probably going to make profit, but the only reason why they're going to hit a profit model is because they would have to use AI to save themselves on the probably $10,000 or $15,000 that they would have to spend.
Which is the good. Just for the record, I've just made a very quick search for the word superhero and system Dungeons and Dragons in drive-through RPG. And there are 678 titles. I don't know how many of them will be core rulebooks of specific superheroic thing, because I can see something like Tullus being there, but definitely not novel for anyone to claim 5e and on superhero games. Just doesn't get it. There are more there. Not 678, because I can see an awful lot of 5th age and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't see it. But
exactly,
we go back into what we were talking about earlier. People don't give a shit about whether somebody uses AI or not. I think it depends on what circles you move around. You're going to hear more or less backlash. But generally speaking, people don't give two hoots about whether you use AI or not.
Yeah.
All the professionals do, but the general public don't care. It's sad, but it's what it is.
Yeah. But anyway, that was my tracking on that story.
Okay. Have you finished?
Oh yeah, I got nothing else on my list.
Okay, I have one thing which I want to talk about very briefly, because I think this is very cool. Give me a minute. I am currently rereading, because I read it once a few weeks ago and then I just forgot. But I'm rereading the rules for Lovecraftesque second edition, which I received recently, even though some awful beast chewed my box and it damaged it so badly. But everything in the
dear.
inside is good. But literally, you know the mouth that you have in your background? That's kind of where it came, because the box looks like it had been run over several times by a number of trucks. But anyway, it is here. I'm rereading it. And I have to say, I would love to talk about this from the design point of view at some point, because the one thing I'm loving about Lovecraftesque second edition is that all players around the table play with one single character.
Is this a role playing game or a board game?
Role-playing game. Don't get me wrong. The production value. I need to make when I have the strength, an unboxing video and a review video as to what comes with the box. But Black Armada has done an absolutely incredible work with this. I got the first edition, the Spanish one, when they had on a sale, and it was just a book. So I thought, okay, well, Lovecraftesque is going to be just a book. No. Lovecraftesque 2 comes in a beautiful looking box with a very, very light rule book. Literally, it's about 40-something pages in A5, something like that. Then they comes with another little book, and I'm not showing that book because it's on my bedside table, because that's what I'm reading before I go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But it also comes with extras, which is the rule book, by the way, is the same size of this A5. With a very, very simple indeed layout. So something very cute. But it also comes with a notepad, which is rather thick, for the conclusions of the game. Another for the main character, which you create. And another one for the bang list. This is an interesting comfort measure, and is that you can bang things that you don't want to see, or you can soft bang, which are things that you don't want to see, but it's okay being mentioned. So, for example, you don't want to see graphic depictions of violence, but it's okay to see violence. Just, or veil over it, and that's it. And another notepad for the setting and locations, and another notepad for the clues, and a board, which is very cool because it allows you to have all the clue cards that you're going to be having, and it divides the adventure in several chapters that come to a conclusion, which helps an awful lot, keep track of what's going on. And there are many, many ands. This beautiful looking insert.
Oh, nice.
Inside this insert, if I can get my fingers in it, if we take the lid off, over there, we get a couple little tokens, which are going to serve to mark the chapters and where we're going with them. Some little pencils.
Pencils?
Cute. I think this is a torch. I didn't know it came with a torch, but it seems like it comes with
I
a
need
torch.
batteries.
It needs. Oh, what battery is this? Okay, I don't know. I'll find out. But it comes with a torch, which
Probably
is
a
like,
double A.
my goodness, this is quite amazing. And at some point, we need to talk about gimmicks that actually help games.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm writing that down.
I thought you might. And then we have a set of cards, which are the cards for the setting and the mysteries and the clues that you're going to be drawing. So you can write create your adventure as you go along. And another little deck of cards for the character. And another big, massive deck of cards for the story cards. So all of this comes in this beautiful looking box, which is absolutely gorgeous, with a concept of a game that I really love, because playing one single character between all players is a concept that I absolutely love. It feels very, very intriguing to me. So I'm going to be finishing the reading of this in the next few days, and then I promise to do a very thorough review. But hey, look at the box. Look, somebody chewed the box.
Good Lord.
It's absolutely, people have no respect whatsoever.
I would go further, and I think the fact that next week or next time we record, we have the theme of the episode has to be gimmicks and board games.
Okay.
The games that we've played that have employed a gimmick badly, and then talk about the games where we feel a gimmick, and it has to be a gimmick that actually affects gameplay. It can't just be like the fact that the tiles in Subterra glow in the dark. That adds nothing mechanically to the game.
No, but
Something where
no. But okay, this is something. To me, it doesn't matter whether it adds something to the game or not, but whether it actually adds to the production cost. Because quite frankly, if it doesn't add to the game, but it adds to the production cost, don't do it.
Well, that I agree. But I think it definitely that like I can think of games right now, which we'll talk about hopefully next time, about games that have had a gimmicky, and whether or not that gimmick ultimately helped or detracted the game.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll do that next time. I think that would be yeah.
Good. So in that case, since you have nothing else and I have nothing else, and it is 10 p.m. already, and look at the bags under my eyes in here because I am tired, we better go. So humans, as usual, thank you very much indeed for being there with us today. It's been wonderful having your company, even though we cannot see that you're there, but we know you are, and that's enough for us. Please get in touch. Email podcast@gmsmagazine.com. You would be always and forever welcome. Find me on Facebook. I will be back very soon indeed. I promise. And on Blue Sky, where I am not either, but I will be. I very much promise.
And this has been Chris from DSX Machina. Thank you very, very much. And yes, come see us at the same time, same channel. Thank you. Please. And next time we'll be talking about gimmicky board games. We'll have a whole themed episode on gimmicky board games.
Bye.
Right.
There you go. Done.
Oh, yeah. All right.